Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. I am Beth Cobert, the Deputy Director for Management at the Office of Management and Budget. And on behalf of OMB and the Council on Financial Assistance Reform, COFAR, I want to say how much we appreciate the incredible amount of collaboration and partnership from all of you that has gone into the development and implementation of the uniform guidance that OMB published last December. I want to take a brief moment just before we begin our discussion to share with you how the implementation of the uniform guidance fits with the administration's overall vision for the second term. Throughout his time in office, President Obama has been committed to making government more efficient, more effective, and more transparent for the American people. This is demonstrated through multiple actions, including the executive order and presidential memo that kicked off the uniform guidance effort, as well as many other areas, including our Open Data Initiative, strategic sourcing, shared services, and federal spending transparency. Having now worked for the past 6 years as an administration to develop sound management policies, we are now focusing on implementation and institutionalization of the best of those so that the efficiencies in government we have identified can be realized for years to come. The uniform guidance is a perfect example of this. Having had a robust dialogue with stakeholders for the past 3 years over what the policies should be, and having issued guidance that reflects that dialogue, we are now turning to implementation of these policies. Of course, the guidance itself is a high-level policy document. We know that as diverse organizations turn to implementing its guidance, there will be many questions, including questions that stakeholders have for each other. That is why we are hosting the discussion here today, to kick off the conversations that will continue between many different types of organizations, as well as with OMB and the COFAR. And we're delighted to bring this to you using technology so you can see and hear us and really feel more part of this exchange. We look forward to extending this dialogue as we go forward. Extending this dialogue is one of my highest priorities personally. We know the policies now, but we need to work together as we implement them, and this needs to be a collaborative effort. We know we face big changes. They affect the bottom line and operations for many organizations, diverse organizations around the country. We know it will take time for everyone to learn about the new policies and fully implement them. We expect that this conversation will require a degree of tolerance and collaboration from all of us in this process. Personally, I know from my time when I served as the board chair of the United Way of the Bay Area in San Francisco, California, a large nonprofit, that the process of applying for and executing federal grants would have been so much easier for us if the uniform guidance like this had been in place. Having a single place, a one-stop shop, to find all of the federal guidance would have been extremely helpful to me in my oversight role and to our staff. It would have simplified compliance and, most importantly, would have allowed us to focus our time on delivering against our mission of helping those in our community. This personal experience makes me even more delighted to see how this reform is moving forward into the implementation phase. We all look forward to working with all of our partners here today and with those who are joining us electronically to make sure we are maximizing its potential. With that, I'd like to introduce David Mader, who was recently appointed and confirmed as our new controller at OMB. Dave has had a distinguished career in both the government and private sector. He formerly served as an IRS Assistant Deputy Commissioner, where he received the Distinguished and Meritorious Presidential Rank Award and the Treasury Secretary's Honor Award for his work. Before joining OMB, Dave was a Senior Vice President at Booz Allen Hamilton, leading the firm's work with the Department of Treasury and many other federal agencies. He is also a fellow with the National Academy of Public Administration. Since joining OMB, Dave has been an inspirational advocate for strong financial management and partnership across government and beyond. And I'm sure that all of you will enjoy working with him as much as I have. Without any further ado, please let me welcome Controller David Mader.
Good afternoon, everybody. As Beth mentioned, I joined OMB on the 2nd of June, so actually today is my 4-month anniversary. So I guess I'm probably pushing the envelope by saying I'm still new. I think I've sort of worn out that I'm new. But one of the things that actually has been fascinating to me in coming to OMB and to this position is really learning about the entire grants program. As Beth mentioned, I spent many years at the IRS, and we had a very small program. And I think in the last 4 months, I've really come to understand and appreciate not only the complexity of this, but the importance of the grants program and the importance that each and every one of you that are participating in this event today play in the delivery of services to citizens, to research, to basically how we as a country perform. For those of us who are new and really getting to understand the COFAR and the COFAR's work, I'd like to share a little bit about the background of COFAR and the uniform guidance in particular. The COFAR was created in October of 2011, so relatively new, and was charged with recommending the policies to OMB that would transform the delivery of financial assistance. It includes the 8 largest grant-making agencies in the federal government and 1 small agency that rotates on a 2-year cycle. The first agency that rotated on and off now was the National Science Foundation, and now we're pleased that the State Department has assumed that responsibility, and especially thank you for them hosting this event today. As Beth mentioned, developing the uniform guidance was a 3-year effort, and as part of my homework, I did actually look at and read, and I'm sure you have all read this document. And I think it's important to step back and sort of reflect on what's been accomplished in 3 years, because I know, having issued lots and signed lots of regulations at the IRS in my days there, that this is no easy feat. It takes a lot of hard work, not only on the part of the government, but I think more importantly, on the part of the stakeholders and the individuals who actually are going to implement this new guidance. This new guidance, as we all know, was issued last year, the day after Christmas. I wonder about the timing, but the day after Christmas of 2013. And over the course of these last several months, I think we've done, as Beth mentioned, I think a very good job, and I actually think it's a model on how to engage stakeholders in an ongoing dialogue. I think that this kind of collaboration serves as a model for a little work that I'm doing right now on this little thing called the Data Act that has the same kind of far-reaching impact, not only on the entire federal government, but on numerous stakeholders across the country. Since publishing the guidance last December, the conversation has continued into the details of implementation. And with 2 more webcasts, 2 more rounds of frequently asked questions, and all of this data is available for you on the COFAR website. Going forward, OMB, together with all of the grant-making agencies, will issue a joint interim final rule no later than December 26th. And as actually our staff were talking the other day, it would be nice to get it out before Christmas as opposed to the day after Christmas, but no guarantees. We expect to issue any technical corrections as needed, where it may come to our attention that how we propose something prevents the guidance from delivering what we really intend as the way of simplification. We know from listening to all of you that this guidance has the potential to truly transform grants management, and I think Beth shared with her personal experience and her reflection on, gee, if I had had this years ago, we could have done an even better job in the effort that she led. We also think that, and as controller, I can't sort of help but think about the potential savings. And we believe that these new policies will save probably in excess of $50 million a year. And that's a benefit certainly to you as well as to us. But I think importantly, besides just the dollar savings, it's the reduction in the burden. You know, the cost, the opportunity cost on how we go about each and every day exercising the delivery of services through the grant-making program. For university, it means more dollars to put towards basic research that underpins innovation, not only in the United States, but around the world. For smaller nonprofits, the simplification will remove the barriers to entry and open up competition for federal awards to more and more entrants. For state, local, and tribal government, it means more flexibility to develop efficient, evidence-based programs that best provide citizens with the services that they most need. And finally, this policy will improve the oversight of awards by increasing transparency through the publication of audit reports, requiring recipients to have strong internal controls, and requiring federal agencies to review the risk prior to making an award. As I mentioned, a lot of hard work has gone into this effort to date. But I also think we recognize that there's a lot of hard work now to come. Sometimes it's easier to make the policy than it is to implement the policy. And as Beth mentioned, this is transformational. And we've been working hard over the last 9 months learning about the new policy. We've answered questions in webinars. We've issued frequently asked questions. But I think that this is just the beginning of that journey. We plan to continue the conversation. And as I mentioned, I do think that this is a model for the rest of government, where we have the active, ongoing dialogue. It's not a one-time event. It's a continuing dialogue among all of the required stakeholders. To that end, earlier this week, OMB announced the publication of metrics that we're going to use to measure the impact of the new reform. We want to know what's working and what's not working. And for us to be effective in using these metrics, we need your participation, we need your input in, again, the continuing dialogue over the next several years. Each of the panelists that we will hear from today have been an integral and active participant in shaping the debate about the policies, where we're going, and how we're going to actually implement this grant reform. What I'd like to do right now is to introduce our distinguished panel members. Steve Daniels is the Director of the Division of Policy Review and Resolution at the Department of Labor. Dr. Brett Baker is the Assistant Inspector General for the National Science Foundation. Tasha Repp is a partner at Moss Adams and is the Government Accounting Standards Advisory Council appointee representing the Native American Financial Officers Association. Helena Sims is the Director of Intergovernmental Relations for the Association of Government Accountants. Mandy Nelson is a partner at KPMG and is the former chair of the AICPA. Kim Moreland is the Associate Vice Chancellor for Research and Sponsored Programs at the University of Wisconsin-Madison and is on the board of directors of the Council for Government Relations and the Federal Demonstration Partnership. Matt Hamadou is the Assistant Secretary of Illinois Department of Human Services, and David Thompson is Vice President of Public Policy at the National Council of Nonprofits. I'd also like to say a special thanks to the staff at OMB for driving this effort. We have, I think today, 3 of the folks that really have been the individuals responsible from OMB for driving us to the issuance of the guidance, the constant interaction with all stakeholders, and now the kickoff of the implementation. 2 of them will be appearing on camera today, Gil Tran and Victoria Collins, but I would also like to acknowledge the leadership that Karen Lee has played in this effort over the last several years.